One late afternoon on the island of Sodor, Will, the DB Class 82 tank engine, was waiting at a signal when he heard a whistle. And there, coming around the bend, was a beautiful tender engine with NWR on her tender and a number 22 on her cab. "Oh, hello there," said the engine. "I'm Rebecca." Hello, I'm Will." "So you're Will. I've heard so much about you," said Rebecca. "And I've heard so much about you," laughed Will. Then Will's signal dropped. "Well, I've got to go. Nice to meet you, Rebecca." "You too, Will. Bye." The next day, Will arrived at the yards with another heavy load. As he uncoupled his cars, he saw Rebecca getting some coal to start her day. "Hello, Rebecca." "Oh, hey, Will. How are you today?" "Not much. Just delivered my last train for the day, and now I'm off to help Ryan." Rebecca smiled. "Oh, Ryan is a dear friend. Do you want me to tell you this time that he managed to get me a new boiler?" "Yes, of course, Rebecca. That sounds fun." But then Rebecca's driver came up. "It's time to go, Rebecca." "Oh, okay," said Rebecca, a little disappointed that she wouldn't be able to tell Will her story. But Will just smiled and said to Rebecca, "Don't worry, Rebecca. You can come and tell me the story later." "Oh, okay, Will." "Toodaloo," said Rebecca, as she puffed away. For the rest of the week, Will came to see Rebecca, and the two engines told stories about their old railways, and also Will told Rebecca about Abigail, which made Will a little sad. But Rebecca smiled at her new friend and told him it was all right. Then one day, Will came to the yards, and he didn't see Rebecca anywhere. Then Will spotted Diesel shunning in the yards. Maybe Diesel has seen her. And he chopped up toward Diesel. "Hello, Diesel. Have you seen Rebecca today?" Diesel looked at Will and said, Yes, I've seen her. She just left with her passenger train. And then she has to pull this big heavy freight train. And then she has 5 more jobs after that." Will was shocked. But that's too much jobs for her to do alone. "I'm gonna ask Sir Topham Hatt to see if I could help Rebecca." This gave Diesel a naughty idea. "Actually, Will, Sir Topham Hatt told me to tell you to take these cars for Rebecca." When Will heard that, he smiled. "Really? Oh, thanks, Diesel." So Will coupled up to the cars and set off. When Will left, Rebecca arrived. "Hi, Diesel. Where are my cars?" "Oh, I saw Will taking them." When Rebecca heard this, she was shocked. "What do you mean he took them? You mean he stole them?" Diesel grinned smugly. "Yeah, he said that he would take your cars and get credit for them." This made Rebecca mad. "Well, wait until Sir Topham Hatt hears about this." And with that, she puffed away, leaving Diesel smiling evilly. Meanwhile, Will was pulling the car smoothly and carefully. "Oh man, wait until Rebecca hears that I helped her. She'd be so pleased." But then there was trouble. Ahead, the track was broken and needed repaired. But Will didn't know this. "Look out, Will," said his driver, and applied the brakes. But it was too late. Will hit the broken track, and then he derailed and was on his side. "Oh dear, not again. This happened before I got sent to the scrapyard," said Will, disappointed. Just then, Rebecca arrived, along with Sir Topham Hatt. He was cross. "Well, what do you think you are doing?" "I was just helping Rebecca out, sir." "Helping with what? Stealing my cars?" When Will heard this, he was shocked. "What? No, I didn't steal them." But Sir Topham Hatt and Rebecca were so cross with Will that they didn't listen. "No excuses, Will. Once you are back on the rails, you will stay in your shed for a month." "A month? But sir..." "No buts, Will, and that is final." And with that, Sir Topham Hatt left with Rebecca. When Will was prepared, he sadly went to his shed, and when he was chugging along, he could see all the engines staring crossly at him. Will didn't say anything. He just sadly went to his shed. When he made it back to the sheds at the branch line, he saw Emily and Susan waiting for him, and they didn't look happy with him at all. "I can't believe you would do such a thing, Will," said Emily. "Yeah, why did you steal Rebecca's train?" asked Susan. "I didn't, girls. I was just trying to help her out." "Yeah, sure you were. Well, now just go to sleep," said Susan. As Emily and Susan went to sleep, Will stayed up, thinking what to do. Then he decided to do what he never thought he would never thought of doing. "It's the only way. I have to run away. No one cares about me anymore. I'll just leave and never come back." And with that, Will left quietly out of the sheds. As Will puffed along in the night, he saw an abandoned line, and as he went to it, he saw a shed, an old, raggedy shed. "There, I'll hide in there. They won't find me in there." And so Will backed up into the shed and stomped inside. "Now no one will find me, and I will not cause any more trouble," said Will sadly. The next day, Rebecca had to take a freight train to the harbor, but the cars wouldn't move. "We won't go! We won't go! We want Will! We want Will!" After hearing Will's name, Rebecca became cross. "Don't you ever mention that engine name again. Now come on." Rebecca tried again, but the cars still wouldn't move. Then they chattered, "It wasn't Will's fault. It was that diesel." When Rebecca heard this, she looked back at the cars. "What do you mean it was diesel?" The cars told Rebecca everything. When they were done, Rebecca was shocked. So Will was telling the truth all along. Rebecca uncoupled her cars and headed towards the station. At the station, Sir Topham Hatt was enjoying his coffee when he heard Rebecca's whistle. "Rebecca? What is wrong?" Rebecca told Sir Topham Hatt everything what the cars said. And when she finished, Sir Topham Hatt was very cross. "When I see Diesel, he is going to be in so much trouble. Come on, Rebecca. We're going to the branch line and apologize to Will." "Yes, sir." But before they could leave, Emily and Susan puffed in. "Sir, Will is gone," said Susan. "Will is gone? Oh my. Emily, you and Susan get the other engines. We need to find Will now." All around the island, the entire steam team tried to find Will. They looked in tunnels, over and under bridges, in stations, everywhere. But still, no Will. At last they had to give up the search for Will for the night. "Oh, I hope Will is okay," said Rebecca. "Me too, Rebecca," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Well, I'll see you tomorrow, Rebecca." You too, sir." As Sir Topham Hatt left, Rebecca decided to continue her search for Will. Meanwhile, Will was sad that all of his friends didn't want him anymore. "Oh, I'm so sorry, Rebecca. I shouldn't have taken those cars," said Will to himself. Meanwhile, Rebecca continued to look for Will. Just then, she heard a voice. She looked this way and that. Hello? Who's there? Will, is that you? Just then, Rebecca looked, and there was an engine that resembled Flying Scotchman. Who are you? asked Rebecca. The engine smiled and said, You already know me, dear. I'm Abigail. Rebecca gasped. Abigail? But Will told me that you were scrapped. Abigail looked at Rebecca and then said, I was scrapped, Rebecca. But I'm here now because you need help to find Will. Yes, I do. Do you know where he is? Abigail smiled. I do. He is in an old engine shed. Rebecca beamed after hearing that. Oh, thank you, Abigail, said Rebecca. You're quite welcome, Rebecca. Before I go, there is something I want to say to you. Okay, but what is it? asked Rebecca. Will you please take care of Will for me? Rebecca was confused. What do you mean? I mean, watch over him and be his special friend. When she said that, Rebecca blushed, but smiled and said, Don't worry, Abigail, I will. Abigail smiled and then vanished. After that, Rebecca set off to find Will again. Back at the old shed, Will was still thinking about Rebecca. Oh, how I wish I could tell Rebecca just how sorry I am for taking those cars. Sometimes you make a friend, the kind of friend you need. You try to make them happy, but you don't always succeed. Sometimes you're the one who does something that's not okay. Sometimes you hurt a friend and you don't know what to do or say. I'm sorry, so sorry. Just then he heard a whistle, and there, coming out of the darkness, was Rebecca. Will, I found you. Will looked at her and said sadly, Yeah, you found me. Rebecca looked at Will sadly and then said, Look, Will, I am so sorry that I didn't believe you. I was just so mad thinking that you stole from me that, I just didn't think. I'm so sorry, Will. Will you ever forgive me? Will looked at Rebecca and smiled. Of course I forgive you, Rebecca. You're my friend. Rebecca smiled. As Will puffed out of the shed, him and Rebecca set off for home. As the sun rose, Sir Topham Hatt and the other engines were getting ready to search for Will again when they heard a whistle. "Hey, that sounds like Rebecca," said Thomas. Then they heard another one. "And that sounds like Will," said Gordon. Then, out in the distance, was Rebecca with Will by her side. "It's Will! Rebecca found him!" said Percy, happily. And all the engines whistled in delight that Will had been found. Sir Topham Hatt smiled and went up to Will. "Thank goodness you are safe, Will." "Thank you, sir. And I'm sorry I ran away." "We are just glad that you are safe, Will." And that made Will happy. Later, Rebecca was resting in the sheds when she saw Will backing down into the shed right beside her. "Will, what are you doing here?" "Oh, I came to talk like we did when we first met." Rebecca smiled. "I would like that very much, Will." Will smiled. "United we stand, together we fall." "You help me, and I help you." And with that, the two engines talked like they did when they first met. And soon they will become more than just friends. But that's another story.